G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Hopefully you brought in the new year in style and that you're safe and happy. This is going to be my first review for the new year, so hopefully I'll kick off 2013 in good fashion. So the film I'm going to be reviewing is a war film from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2011, directed by Hun Yang, and this movie is called The Frontline. And the story to The Frontline is as follows. Towards the end of the Korean War, a South Korean battalion is fiercely battling over a hill on the front line border against the North, in order to capture a strategic point that would determine the new border between the two nations. The ownership of this small patch of land would swap multiple times each day. Kang is dispatched to the front line in order to investigate a mysterious death, but gets spiraled into the terrifying face of war when he meets his friend Kim, who has been transformed into a war machine, along with the rest of his unit. As the countdown for ceasefire begins, both sides become more vicious as the stakes rise until the very last man is left standing to claim the hill. So the movie, it centers on the Korean War, but it also has a little bit of subplot because there are a few characters that the story really does center on. But ultimately, it is a movie about war and how horrifying war can be and what war can do to us as people. So the Korean War, it's not really a war that we know too much about. Well, I don't know too much about. So basically, the movie sets itself up towards the end of the war, so that the ceasefire is about to be announced. So both North and South Korea are battling it over this one particular bit of land. Now this land is a hill that is a very strategic point. And so both nations want to claim this hill when their ceasefire comes, because that will be the border between North and South. So the ownership of this hill changes multiple times each day, so it's a very hard piece of land to claim. So then we go to the actual story. Now, Kang is the main character. Kang has been sent to this area in order to investigate a mysterious death. Now, the captain of the unit from the South Korean side has been killed, but it's suspicious because the weapon used to kill the captain was one of their own. So the South Korean army are suspicious and they want to find what really happened. So Kang is sent here. Along the way, he is reunited with his old friend Kim, who has been changed due to the war. So the reunion doesn't quite go as planned. And so Kang is investigating, and pretty soon he is thrust into the horrors of war. So he takes up arms and he is helping his battalion in order to claim this hill. So that's all I'm going to give you on the synopsis. If you want to know more, please go out there and see this film for yourself. Hopefully I've done a good enough job gaining enough curiosity for you to at least see what I thought of this movie. So now my thoughts. I was really interested coming into this one. Now, I'm a big fan of South Korean cinema, as you all know, but I haven't really been exposed to movies about the Korean War. Now, the Korean War is something that, I hadn't heard too much about. When it comes to wars, you know about the World Wars, you know about the Vietnam War. And so the Korean War is kind of the forgotten war. And so when I saw a South Korean film detailing this sort of subject on this war, I thought, this is going to be interesting. And it was very interesting. Now, it does come with some pretty big flaws, but fortunately, it does come across as a very real war film. It's not glorifying war, and it's not taking sides, which would have been very easy to do. Coming from a South Korean director, it would have been so easy to say, yes, us South Koreans were the good guys, and we're going to paint everyone in the North as bad. So, in a world today, we see North Korea as part of the axis of evil. So a lot of Americans, when they get into war films, they paint either, the Germans or, even the Russians and the North Koreans as the bad guys, and that they're all made of steel and they're all as cold as ice. Whereas this movie, it portrays people for what they are. And in the end, we're all the same. And the real villain in the film is war. And it really does show you how wasteful war can be. And I actually thought that the interaction between some of the North soldiers and the South soldiers was really heartwarming. And it showed you just that our ideas are put through by politicians. And these politicians aren't participating in the war. They're not really going down and seeing what is happening. And that's us as viewers. And, we listen to things about the war, and we think to ourselves, we're fighting these guys, so they must be bad. And that we don't really put ourselves in the shoes and we see the other side for what they are. And they're just like us. They're humans, and they've been told to fight. So it just shows you how wasteful it can be. And as a message, I thought this film really does deliver it very powerfully. Now, South Korean cinema is known for its beautiful cinematography, and this is no different. Apparently, the director got 14,000 actors to play out the battle scenes. So they're very, very authentic battle scenes. And it really reminded me of Saving Private Ryan in the fact that it's unapologetic. What you see is basically, sorry, my nose is very itchy. It's a very gory film, and it will shock a lot of people because it doesn't shy away from the nastiness of war. You're not going to watch this film and you're going to think, that was awesome, like in Rambo, when near the end, when he's shooting up everybody and it's all glamorized, there's bits and pieces flying everywhere. That's not how war is. This is how war is, and it just shows you how heartbreaking it can be, and that the people getting injured are in a lot of pain, and it just shows you how terrifying conflict is. And I thought, the message in that film, it was absolutely fantastic, and it reminded me very much of Saving Private Ryan. So if you like how the battle sequences in Saving Private Ryan were done, then this one is going to really interest you as well. There's no CGI. It's not excessive as far as violence is concerned and gore. There are gory moments, but I thought it was a very realistic portrayal of how war is and just how terrifying war can be. It gets you on a very psychological level as well. So I love the way that the battle scenes were done, and I really like the fact that there was a subplot. It's not necessarily all about war, it's about friendship. Kim and Kang. Now, they're the main two characters. They were great friends. And it shows you that they were split for quite a while, a few years. And when they get reunited, on one side you've got Kang, who was a righteous sort of person, but Kim, who used to be a very good guy, he was completely numb because he had to do some things in this war that had changed him completely, and now he was a cold-hearted killing machine. And that was a really scary portrayal because, war can corrupt people. And obviously, if you see enough blood and guts, you're going to be numb, and you're going to be desensitized to the overall situation. And the fact that Kim was transformed into someone completely different, I thought was really heartbreaking. And I love the fact that the director put a little bit of attention into detail as far as character development was concerned, because it gives the whole film a new level, and it really doesn't show you just how powerful war can be on a national front, but it shows you how powerful war can be on an individual front, and it picks out individuals, and it's not just generalizing the whole army. So I really love that aspect to it too, and that was further intensified by the great acting. I thought the acting was absolutely wonderful, and that it helped contribute, as I said, a much more emotional response. The North Korean actors as well, I love the fact the director didn't paint them as bad. So that is a very sort of rare thing that you get these days. It's much easier just to generalize one side as good and one side as bad. But if you want a film that is going to test out your emotion and just show you just the wastefulness that a war can bring, this one is definitely for you. So the runtime is very good. It goes for just over 2 hours, but at no stage does it really feel like that. I thought that some parts dragged a little bit, but then the majority of it did run fairly smoothly. And the battle scenes were really, amaze you, and it really sucks you in, and you can kind of put yourself in that position, and it's really scary to actually watch it. So that's why I say that this can border on a horror film in itself. Unfortunately, the movie is not a masterpiece. Now, what I really didn't like about it was the melodrama. The director has packed it on in spades, and it really didn't need that. So I thought the director kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit. Yes, it is a good film, but it should have been a brilliant film, because I thought the realism of the war was completely sort of bamboozled towards the end, when the director tried to put way too much sympathy on each and every character. When one character dies, he gives a very emotional speech saying that he wishes that the war would stop, we're both similar, North and South, why can't we live in peace? And then he'd die. And it forces all that emotion onto you that it comes across as really, really unrealistic. And they've got the melodramatic piano music, and they've just got the speeches before they go into battle, and it's kind of like, on one front, the director has created something really realistic, and then towards the end, he didn't really know how to cap it all off, so he had to just force on all the melodrama, and it just came across towards the end as an American sort of film, a patriotic sort of movie. And I thought that everything that the film was building for, it kind of didn't ruin it completely, but it kind of just took the gloss off it a little bit. Now, every single character, my family's going to miss me, why can't we all get along, how bad is war, it was just really force-fed, and as a result of that, I just got really, really annoyed, and it really, it just really disappointed me, because the majority of the film is absolutely brilliant. But then, as I said, the piano music, and it was just very, sloppy, and I thought it was just force-fed, and in the end, it just came across as a little bit, unrealistic, and it was just sappy sort of crap. So yeah, that really, really disappointed me. The ending was in slow motion, very emotional, and so it didn't really match the mood that the movie had going for it for the majority. But having said that criticism, I still thought it was a very good film. It does show you war for what it is, and that is very wasteful. So all in all, if you're a fan of war films, I would say pick it up. But unfortunately, that really force-fed sympathy that the director goes for towards the end really lets it down, and therefore it brings it down a few stars. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. As far as war films are concerned, if you want something very realistic, this is definitely for you. But the last quarter of the film, it just overdid the sympathy vote, and as a result of that, it just took it down for me. So that was very disappointing, but having said that, it is still a film that I'd recommend. So that's my review for the South Korean war film, The Frontline. Alright guys, that's my review. I know it's a little bit long, but hopefully you didn't get too bored. So until next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.